Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rudy's Hideout Pinball, the very first episode on this channel. I will try to do shoot some videos of restorations and board repairs, which I love to do. And maybe there's going to be some other stuff like visits to pinball friends and showing off their machines, and we'll see. But for this episode, it's all about this machine. And it's a project machine. I picked it up yesterday, and it's none other than the classic 1986 Williams High Speed by Steve Ritchie. And I think, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest games from the 80s era. It has very good gameplay, and I like the play field and the backglass and the sounds and the beacon and sirens. It's pretty much it got everything good from the 80s. And in this video we're gonna go we're gonna do a short overview of how the state of this machine is and go over the electrical stuff and see what issues it has. And I'm gonna be straight honest with you. We're gonna cut right to the chase with the play field, and it's in, I wouldn't say, it's in very rough state. So starting off down here, we're down to bare wood. And up here, we have same kind of crap going on. I guess I have to do some touch-ups and try to figure something out to make it look somehow good. And of course, we're gonna tear down this play field and put in new rubbers and LEDs and do everything else that's gotta be done to this game. But overall, it's complete, and the beacon is here as well. It's over here. I had to take that one down in order to get it into my car, which was a real, that wasn't fun. But it's here now, so we're gonna take a take some short videos of the play field. Basically, everything besides this wear in the play field, I think it's kind of good. It's all here. That's the most important thing. I don't know what's going on here. I think some customized shit the previous owners, some of the previous owners have been involved in. And I have good expectations of this being a great player's machine. Actually, the cabinet, considering the state of the play field, I think the cabinet is in very good shape. I don't know how good it shows on the camera, but go in here. The back glass is in very good shape. I will open this up and we will also check what's under the hood and going through the state of the assemblies on the backside of the play field and so on. See what's going on there. I know it has some issues with the displays not lighting up. It's not the alkaline. It's not any alkaline corrosion, thankfully, on the MPU board. Even if it had some minor, I could fix it. But thankfully, this is a really great board. So there is something going on the power supply board. That's for sure. But we will see if that's all, or if we have to do something else. I don't really know the shape of the actual displays, if they're any good or what, but we will see. It's time for the underside of the play field, and this is how it looks like. Now I gotta say, I'm very surprised, well, maybe not surprised, but I think it's, considering the state of the upper side of the play field, I think this was a positive surprise. Looks very, very good, to be honest, and doesn't seem like it was exposed to a lot of moisture, because the assemblies look really good. And what kind of caught my attention though was somebody seems to have put some kind of lubricants on the plungers in the coils, and if you worked on pinball machines for a long time like I have done, you know that's a big no-no. So I have to do some work there. I would have done that regardless to a machine like this. I need to change out all the coil sleeves and just generally see what's going on with the assemblies and make sure everything is good to go. But other than that, I gotta say I'm very positively surprised by this. We actually did do a clean out before shooting this video. There was some screws and bolts on the floor inside here, but not that much. Used to be a real treasure chest in the back, but in this machine there was not. So yeah, looks good. Right, so moving on to the back box and the electronics and the boards. This is where the big party is in my departments for sure. I love to work on the boards and do repair to them. So if there's gonna be anything wrong here, it's gonna be right up my alley. This is not up my alley. I don't like fixing stuff like this. I have to get some help, please. And the boards, actually what always worries people who work with pinballs is the battery and the alkaline damage. There's none here. Fortunately, it's a very clean board, very shiny, and it kind of has something going on here on this leg going down to the board, but it's just some small shit, no big deal. Gonna scrape that shit off on the solder joint. This just minor corrosion, but that's not going to be an issue. Yeah, the power supply board. The previous owner told me that there was something going on with the displays. It's blowing a fuse, and we have to deal with that, of course. Looking at the connectors to the power supply board, we have this one, which is not a surprise. It's the outgoing voltage for the GI illumination, and it's very crispy. It's got to be repinned, of course, with a Molex crimp connector housing, that's for sure. Other than that, looks good with the connectors. We're gonna check more about that later on. So moving on to the power supply board. As I said, I was told by the previous owner there was something going on. It's blowing F1. It's blowing F1 fuse, and it's this one. I can't see anything visual on the board that could possibly cause this, but we have to check on that. I'm not sure the issue is on this board, and that's because the previous owner tested to put in a known working board inside, and it immediately blew the fuse. So I have to dig into that and see what's going on. But fortunate enough, I have in my test rigs, I have another board here, and it's known working. So we are going to work on this board for sure. And funny enough, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the PCB boards for pinballs. It's not actually the original board coming from a high speed. This is from, it's 542, that's gonna be a Road Kings. So somewhere back in time, the operator, who maybe private person, I don't know, they switched out this board. So it's not a numbers matching game, but it's good enough. So I said earlier that I had another known working power supply board to just put in this game, but unfortunately I was wrong. There are some slight differences between the boards, and this came out of a space shuttle, and the GI, the connector for the incoming GI looks a little bit different than this board that originally came in with this high-speed game. So sure, I could just switch this cable out and all would be fine, but I like to keep it original. So I think I came to the conclusion that this I'm going to use this board and repair this board, and I also found out what was wrong with it. and we have this MDS60 transistor, and it's dead shorted, so it needs to come out. And but unfortunately, the MDS60 transistor is obsolete today. So what can you do? Yeah, you can try to find a new old stock on the web, or you can do a modification, a known modification. So you can, instead of this, you can put in an MJE 15031 instead. So that's what I'm gonna do about this, and I need to switch the legs a bit over, but it's doable. And at least I have that parts at home, so I think it's gonna be fine. So I've done some repairs to this board, and I've done this kind of modification with this MGE 15031 transistor, which you had to use instead because the original part is now obsolete. So it is what it is. I don't like doing this kind of shit normally, but you take what you have, and think it went pretty good. And now it's time to test. Oh, by the way, while testing some other parts in the vicinity of this transistor, I also found out this diode, this Zener diode, was also dead shorted, so it has been replaced with a new one. So time to test this board. I've got the power supply board in my test bench now, so it's time to do the test for voltages. So I'm just gonna turn this thing on. There you go. And first off, we're gonna check for our voltages, of course, and we are going for pin 3 and 4 here. So it's laying on the side now of the multimeter, so yeah. But here you have your minus 100 volts, looks good. Moving on to pin 4. And here's your plus 100. And last we have 5 volts. Well, 4.9. Sometimes a little bit hard to touch the pins, but yeah, we have our 5 volts there. So I think it's going to be good to go to put in the game, and we test it on further on from there. The power supply board is now back in the game, and it all measures good. I just connected this connector up here, which supplies the game with plus 12 volts and plus 5 volts. I do get a 0 here, but there's some weird stuff going on with the soundboard. If you have a 0 here, that's your good indication that this System 11 nothing board has booted. But somehow I get a bad feeling because I haven't connected the displays yet. I don't want to do that just yet. I want to check out this board first in my test bench to see that all is okay and if we have a boot, because I'm a little bit afraid what's going to happen here when I plug in this board here. So we're gonna start to see I want to see the video signals coming out from this board. And if everything is okay, then we will plug in the displays later on. So we're going to the bench now. Got this MPU board into the bench now, and unfortunately I've made some bad discoveries here because it behaves like it goes into some kind of diagnostic mode, and just as if somebody just holds down the button in the coin door to advance in the diagnostic mode. It's doing some really weird shit, and the relay keeps going on and off. So here's what's happening. Just notice down here, it's advancing through the diagnostics, and it just keeps going on and on. I'm not quite sure what it would be the next step for me, but I guess the normal stuff, the game ROMs, switch the game ROMs for some other ones, and the RAM, of course, CPU, and take it from there. Here we are in the test bench, and as you can see, This is what we want to see. So actually I tracked down what was wrong with this NPU board and why it was not booting correctly. And I thought to myself, it kind of looked like the advance button was pressed in all the time. It was like counting up here. And so I checked the schematics and just to see what is really controlling the advance button. And it goes through U14 and then further up to U51, the PIA. And it all boiled down to a faulty PIA. So I switched it out, of course, with a socket. And here we are. So while I had the board out, I, of course, got rid of the horrible battery holder. And also changed out some caps in the sound section. Yeah. So now it's time to actually move it into the game again. Both of the bottom numeric displays, this one, and the credit and ball count is dead. So I don't think it's the displays actually. I don't know why. I just believe that because the top two ones, the alphanumeric displays, are very good. They show no signs of outgassing, so I think it's a board related problem. It doesn't have to be. So I have the board on the bench right now. And my suspicions going to this chip right here. And that's going to be a 7180 UDN chip. And it has some strange readings. Let's go to this bottom. No, sorry. This is going to be the center one pin here. It has a very high reading compared to the other ones. It's a normal diode reading. And also the readings on the other pins on the other side. They got this kind of values going. Doesn't match up to the other ones, to the other UDN chips. The same UDN chips, I should say. So I think I'm gonna pull this one and see what happens. Okay, so I have switched out this UDN chip and it's time to turn the machine on. And we have progress, but it's not completely working, of course. But we have nothing on the credit ball display, and the two bottom numeric ones don't look quite right. I think the segments are locked on, so I have to look deeper into this and see what's going on. Okay, so back on the workbench, and I have checked in the schematics and done a little bit of research, and I found out that there's something wrong with this chip here. Here's the ground. No, it's not. We have it here. And then we have this pin. And if you check a similar chip, like this one, that should be a diode reading. And we also have this one, also a diode reading. So everything points to this one being the culprit of this problem. So I'm gonna pull this chip as well and see what happens. And some more progress. I got the two lower numeric displays to work. So, but still no progress on the credit ball count display. I think it's out of gas and it has to be replaced, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'm gonna show you. The problem was U11. So in total I have to change out 3 ICs on this display board in order to get this work. Not quite sure about U10, but I think it also was involved. I kind of switched them at the same time. I had some kind of idea in my head, but yeah, not too much shotgunning to get this guy to work. So I think I'm gonna leave it like this until I get a replacement display, just to check the glass on the credit ball counts. And now I'm going to move on with maybe the playfield or some other stuff on the game. Okay, so I removed the playfield from the machine, and actually I stripped it down a bit. Not everything, but some of it. And now it's time for the funny part on this game. And I know that from earlier experiences of having this game and restoring it, this ramp is not so funny to remove. And why? Well, it's because of this connector here. You can't get it through this hole. And the way to do this, if you have the opportunity, like I've done now, is to remove the playfield from the machine and unscrew these screws and loosen it up a bit, and then you can like slide it out. These things are not so funny to re-crimp, and it's very unnecessary if you don't have to do it. So I'm gonna go. It's a little bit easier to work on the playfield outside of the game as well, especially when it comes to changing out coil sleeves and refurbishing the assemblies, which I'm gonna do on this game with new coil sleeve. It's not gonna be any high-end restoration in that sense, but I want to get this I want it to be like a great player's machine at least, and it's gonna be reliable. That's the main thing. I have unscrewed the screw, and it's enough with just these three here. And then you of course unplug the connector. It's a little bit hard to do this with just one hand, but as you can see, you can just slide this connector out. Here we go. Well, there we are. So it's not the easiest thing to do. You have to get the playfield out, but now it's finally done, so I can move on with the rest of the stuff here. All right, and I've done some cleaning on the top side of this playfield. I put in some LED GI illumination. And maybe when you see this playfield, I was thinking to myself, how could you justify putting back such a rough playfield in this game? Because it's really it's not a high valuable game. It's a great game from the 80s, but you also had to take into consideration how much is this game worth? How much do I want to spend on a hard top? And right now, I don't feel like spending that money on a hard top, but I can do it in the future. So, but as for now, yeah, I'm gonna go for this player's machine. But man, this playfield is rough. We'll see what happens if somebody can help me touch up this playfield. And now we're going to switch side, and we're gonna do some. Oh, by the way, I've changed out the coil sleeves in these assemblies, as you should do to get this machine really snappy. And so now we're going to go to the underside of the playfield and change out some coil sleeves and check over stuff. Okay, so the works has been started under the playfield, and Jesus Christ, we have some cleaning to do. Some of the previous owners have put some kind of lubricant on each and every single coil assembly. And now it's turned into some gunky stuff, which of course has ruined everything. If you would have wanted it kept it in this condition, it wouldn't have played for long, because it's all gunked up everywhere. So every coil assembly needs to have new sleeves, and the assembly needs to get cleaned, the plungers and so on. So that's what's on here right now. Okay, so I consider this restoration almost complete now. As you can see, the ball and credit count displays are working perfect now. And as I thought, it was an outgas display in this game from the start, so nothing wrong considering the display driver board there. Big shout out to my friend Henke Lodan Johansson in Gränna, Sweden, who had a spare one for me. Thank you very much. And it plays really great. It has a problem with this metal ball guide being worn out, so it has a little funky jump here. I will order that one from Cliffys when the time is right. And yeah, it's gonna be a great game to put in my collection. And it's not, the legs on this game is not the correct one. But I have the correct one coming in soon. So that will be taken care of too. And if you like this kind of videos, I have a really cool project machine coming up in one of the coming episodes. If you like this kind of restoration and board repair videos, please like and subscribe because there's a lot more to come. Thank you very much.